It's Papa. Today I want to read the third part of a history lesson. Remember, Gilbert, a Moose Factory Island elder, was being visited by some scholars from the University of Toronto who wanted some historical information from him. In this part of the chapter, he begins a conversation. Gilbert, as a self-declared resident expert, rolled the dice of conversation. Your interest in Henry Hudson, where has it led you before tea in my kitchen? Well, Karen began, we all caught the bug after seeing some artifacts displayed by the Cree Regional Authority during Native Education Week. Now this was interesting. What artifacts? I asked. Russ looked at his companions for approval as he recited a list of display items. Well, there was a sextant, a beautiful hand compass, a brass water bottle, and a flintlock pistol. Right? Yes, Bill chimed in as if on cue. We were told they were all from the Rupert's House area, brought by a group of men in a small boat. At least, that's the oral tradition. We assume that the boat was used with local logs to build a winter shelter for the group. Does that make sense? Karen attempted to draw an answer from Gilbert. But Gilbert moved through conversations on his own terms. Do you folks know anything about native visiting traditions? The group responded with a variety of negative nods, obviously concerned about breaching some time-honored visitation right. Well, we usually serve tea just before everyone leaves, but we know that Wemistagoshu likes tea and talk, so Nellie brought it, and we'd better drink it before she takes it away. Nellie pretended to be horrified in a way that looked real to me. Gilbert, she gasped and scolded, don't be so rude. Were you raised in the bush? Yes, as a matter of fact, I was, and so were you. I was enjoying the banter, but the little learning expedition was very uncomfortable. Well, Nellie, no matter where you're raised, you make the best oatmeal cookies in Canada. I was raised in Pittsburgh, and we had to wait for the hostess to begin. I passed a plate of cookies to Nellie. Jim is supposed to be polite. He's a minister. I'm supposed to be blunt and grouchy because I'm an elder and an Indian. I couldn't help but laugh at Gilbert at his gap-toothed smile. Well, you do a good job, Kishelo, Nellie affirmed, lifting her teacup. Meaningless to the visitors, the endearment old man carried for Gilbert and Nellie a half-century of devotion. Gilbert launched into the conversation. Smart men would have used a boat for shelter of some kind. A small boat would do them no good anyway. Where could they go? The Indians had canoes more suited to the conditions on the bay. Why not use it? So finding the remains of a shelter would be possible? Karen asked with expectation. My interest was piqued once again. Everyone looked at Gilbert. Would this be a simple matter of unearthing a crude cabin? No. Gilbert might as well have given a lengthy diatribe on the vast cost of an archaeological dig on the James Bay. Everyone relaxed, deflated. If conversation from Gilbert was like fishing, he had just selected his bait. Nothing on an island near the bank escapes the river for more than a decade, and chances are if these men landed, they stopped on the first island they hit and made a shelter on the first piece of bank they could climb. They didn't know the bay. To me, this sounded ominous, but intriguing. Gilbert drew me in. What do you mean, Gilbert? I asked. Well, as you travel around here on the river, you can see how the banks are cut every spring by the ice. The river tears down here and builds up somewhere else. Even the old Creton Frere fort that was here is gone. Hell, Charles Island loses 20 or 30 feet every year. You've seen breakup, Jim. It's amazing. The power and size of the ice chunks pushed by spring thaw flooding the river I explained in the earnest awe of breakup. Nellie, with characteristic mirth, chimed in. Breakup is like a party here. Everyone watches the river. We have breakup contests and picnics on the bank to watch the ice. Everything stops when the river begins to break. We even leave church if the breakup starts during a service. Nellie unwittingly became Gilbert's cheerleader. Her enthusiasm renewed interest in Henry Hudson's face, despite the knowledge that there would be no log dwelling found, and even though she was enthusiastic, the subject was totally unrelated. Ignoring the information about breakup festivities, Karen jumped right back into the reason for her travel to Moose Factory. So you knew about Henry Hudson's landing on the coast. You've heard the stories? Under less exciting circumstances, Karen might have thought before she spoke. Her questions, in the form of statements, delivered with unbridled enthusiasm, became exclamations. Crees asking information, in the interest of being polite, often phrase questions in such a way as to assume a negative response. That way, the answer, if negative, always sounds positive. To the question, I can't borrow your rifle, can I? Yes is a negative response. The full response would be yes, you can't borrow my rifle. Conversely, the full positive response would be no, you can borrow my rifle. Properly asked, Karen's question would have been framed, you don't know about Henry Hudson's landing on the coast, do you? Gilbert could have responded, yes, I don't, or no, I do. As it was, Gilbert was on the spot. If he didn't know anything, he would have to answer no instead of yes. But Gilbert would not be put on the spot. What are you interested in knowing? He asked, a question with a question. And again he did it. How could something that happened over 200 years ago be so important to you? Russell answered this time. His sincere enthusiasm was infectious. It's just fascinating. People making a journey of that magnitude in what we would consider a large cabin cruiser and then surviving, being set adrift to become the great great grandparents of red and blonde haired native children. It's really the collision of two cultures under completely improbable circumstances that is so interesting. We don't care about proving anything, we just want to learn. Bill, who had been quietly drinking his tea and eating the tiny sugar cookies offered by Nellie, commented in passing. The influence of English and European traders is well documented. There are probably lots of descendants of early company men here on the island, but there really is nothing about Henry Hudson and his crew. The thought that they might now be part of the gene pool from a coastal community is really intriguing. Any nail in the can will hold the board, Gilbert offered out of nowhere. This offhanded bit of local wisdom halted the conversation. Was Gilbert dismissing the importance of Henry Hudson's men having descendants, or was he speaking of genetic assimilation? Personally, I thought Gilbert had been saving that line for years and had finally found a circumstance that fit. Next time, we'll read a little bit more about Gilbert's conversation with these scholars. If you'd like to purchase One Man's Mile, go to fishingluremart.com, fishingluremart.com, and you'll see a way to purchase the book. Have a great day, love one another, and keep on fishing.